Waiting for a few minutes to see if we happen to have people come on to hear this testimony, engage. I'm in my study, and so it's a possibility that a train will come and be loud in the background, but try to forge forward nonetheless. Not sure if anybody will actually come into view and if anybody will come in wanting to make comments, but really it's not a live for comments per se. It's just a live to tell my personal testimony about how God can move in the lives of others to move in the life of yourself, those connected to you who will be blessed because of the connections that others have. Amen. I see Chris. I see you, man. I see you. Um, so I'm just kind of waiting to see what we might have. All right. So if anybody chooses to go ahead and come in and want to engage and just want to uh, basically co-sign on God's goodness with me, then that's your pleasure. But I just want to go ahead and get started. So last weekend was, and I'm not talking about this previous weekend of August 1st, but I'm talking about the weekend prior, the 25th. That weekend was one that was quite different. My daughter, Dejan, had decided that she wanted to move to Houston and make her life in Houston. She went down there in 2018 to attend Texas Southern University, and she had went down there and she had enjoyed her time down there. And prior to that, she had already established a relationship with a young man down there who I think is a great young man. Um, to be honest with you, I've always been one who felt like my family would remain intact in a close proximity, maybe not right there next to each other like some families have family compounds. It's a bunch of houses on one piece of land, and you can throw an apple and land it on somebody's table so that they can make a pie. I mean, not that kind of thing. But maybe, within maybe a couple of 100 miles at the most, type of thing. But she decided she wanted to make her life in Houston. And so her 20th birthday was on the 23rd, and we had we had already endeavored for quite some time to just what's up, Pastor Walter, man, just talking about the goodness of the Lord. We had endeavored for quite some time to take her back down to Houston because that's what she decided that she wanted to do. And I told my children over the course of their lives, I would like for them to be close to me, but my biggest thing is for their safety, their security, and their success. And so my wife tried to, we try to instill within them things that would allow for them to be positive, to have success, namely, making sure that they knew the Lord and had a relationship with Him. And so, that's one of the big things that we've always worried about. Well, her 20th birthday was on the 23rd. We endeavored to go down to Houston on the 25th. We said that we would come back on the 26th, which was Sunday. We said that we would just be down there for basically a day or a night. With COVID-19, we haven't really been able to travel. My family hasn't been able to go to hotels. Kids haven't been able to stay and swim and all those types of things. And so we just really felt some type of way about not being able to go. Well, so the 25th comes and well, actually the 24th comes and we're trying to make ways to go down to Houston. She gets a U-Haul. We go and pick up the U-Haul on that Friday. Now let me tell you how things are lining out because it's just strange. We go and get the U-Haul on that Friday. We go and get the U-Haul, we bring it to our house, we back it up to our house. She puts everything from her room, she's completely clearing out her room. She puts everything from her room on the U-Haul except for the bed. We get to the bed, her boyfriend is in town. Of course, Bill was still at home at the time. Amen. Now he's going to Langston. Go Lions, L's up, all that type of thing. Anyways, so they were trying to get the bed onto the U-Haul. They were trying their best to get the bed on the U-Haul. It would not fit. I got the tape measure. I measured, and although the measurements should have allowed it to squeeze by, the mattress would have made it, but the box spring wouldn't. So fast forward that story, we go to U-Haul, we go to get a larger unit. And at first they were talking about, well, she would have to get a whole new contract and all these types of things. And it just didn't work out. And so basically we were trying to figure out what was going to happen. They forgave all of the new contract and said they were going to put the new unit on the old contract. So it did work out eventually. We got the U-Haul. She had to get down to Houston by 4 o'clock in order to get her keys for her apartment. And so we were trying to figure out how all of this was going to go. Well, in the meantime, we had a car rented, but the car was rented at the airport. And so I told Camila, I said, look, we're not going to be able to rent that car. They were just like, why wouldn't we be able to rent the car? I said, because at the airport, you have to have a major credit card in order to rent a vehicle if you do not have a flight itinerary, a return flight itinerary. And so I talked to Daisy, I said, you need to call and find out. You need to call and find out. Because we were so busy or whatever the case was, she wasn't able to do it. And so it just came to the point to where time had got away from us. We got the other U-Haul. We put all the stuff on there, bed, everything. And then basically, Camila and I just decided we were going to take our Buick Enclave and drive it down to Houston. Now, let me tell you why this is not the best of thoughts, not the best of options, but we could not rent another vehicle. Our Enclave had been to the shop multiple times because of the air conditioner. And so I know at least 4 times it had been in the shop in the last month or so, couple months or whatever, for the air conditioner. Now, y'all know it's the summertime. Now, we've been blessed with cooler temperatures. It's cooler temperatures than normal, but it's still hot. It's not like it's in the 60s. It's not like it's, low 70s. No, it's still hot. So what we chose to do, we convinced Kehlani to ride with us because she was apprehensive. We convinced her to ride with us. She wanted to see her sister being sent off and everything. And so we got in the Enclave with no air conditioner. Did you hear what I said? No air conditioner. 7 family members in the Enclave, no air conditioner. So we riding down to Houston. We stop, we get gas, we get snacks. We riding down to Houston. I got the wheel, I'm going, doing my thing. I'm getting down there because I'm getting ready to drop my child's stuff off. One, because I'm joyful that one is out the house. Really, it's 2 now. But I'm kind of sad because she's all the way down in Houston. But I'm like, man, we gonna get this done. So we go all the way down, we rolling, we ain't thinking about nothing. We stop down in Paul's Valley, we get us a little meal. Everything is good. Matter of fact, one Paul's Valley was Ardmore. We stopped in Ardmore to get us a little meal. Everything was good. We was riding high and fast. Things were going great until we get to Dallas. And let me tell y'all, this is where the blessing really starts. It didn't look like it at the time, but it became. We get to Dallas and we driving through Dallas traffic. And I've spent so much time in Dallas. I know Dallas backwards and forwards. We going through Dallas, driving back, driving. We on 35 southeast. We heading on. We going, and man, we making good time. Not speed, not. We was going with traffic, but not flying, not doing 100, not zooming like a lot of these other people was doing. We was doing regular speed. So we going about our business. All right. We get to Dallas. We going into Dallas. We getting ready to get to the point to where we making the 45 interchange. And just by the time we got to Market Center, if any of y'all know Dallas, particularly during that period, that part of the highway, it's 5 lanes and then it's one more lane that's an entrance exit lane. So it's 6 lanes right there. I'm in the middle lane because I've already come off of that junction where 635 is, where you split, where you getting ready to go to DFW and all that. So I'm in the middle lane trying to get over because I'm getting ready to get to the 45 lane. And lo and behold, the enclave that we pay so much money for every month started making this god-awful noise. Couldn't figure out what it was. Well, we didn't know at the time, at least I didn't, that it was the enclave. It's raggedy cars all up and down through Dallas. If y'all ain't never been there, you should know. Raggedy cars. So it's making God all down. And so I'm like, what is that? Well, then all of a sudden it starts smoking from the hood, from everywhere. And so Camilla says, that's us. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Because I'm in the center lane of a 5 lane with the 6 lane merged highway, and I've got to get to the exit lane. God allowed for us to get to the exit lane. We still had power in the Buick at the time. We get to Market Center. Now the exit is not one of those where it's just immediately right there at the street. There's a good gap. And so God allowed for it to continue to have power to get to Market Center. We make the turn to onto Market Center, and right there, it loses power. Now, mind you, this is 5-something, 6 o'clock. It's about 6 o'clock. And so we're right there at Market Center and Stemmons. Stemmons is freeway right there off I-35. We're at Market Center and Stemmons, right there in front of the Hilton Anatole, one of the biggest hotels in Dallas, the high dollar facility. And I'm sitting here thinking, what are we about to do? I'm frustrated. I don't know what's going on with the car. All I know is that it's not working. Okay, so we're sitting there, and I'm just trying to go through my Rolodex to figure out who I need to call in Dallas. So the first call I make is to who I consider a brother of mine, big brother, Patrick Juba. We brothers. We ain't just friends, we brothers. And so I called him, and we was trying to hash through things. What he really was supposed to do in that particular scenario, I didn't know it at the time, was get me settled. Because I was really frantic on the inside, but I had my family with me, and I was trying to figure out what to do. So we're sitting there on the side of the road Market Center. Police are going all up and down the street. I guess COVID-19 got them spooked because ain't nobody stopped not one time. They ain't worried about it. They just driving up and down the street. A couple of them looked over there at us and just kept zooming right down the street. I say, man, that's cold-blooded. Anyways, so the family gets out. This is about 6 o'clock. Everybody gets out and sits on the premises of the Anatole. That security driving around, they never bother us. We're sitting there minding our business or whatever. Camilla decides that she's going to do what she does all the time, which I'm doing right now, but she does it all the time, and it just works my nerves. She knows it does, but it's okay. She goes live. She starts talking about the predicament we in. Does anybody know this? Does anybody know that? And before long, my trustee chair, Sister Lena Robinson, contacts Camila and says, you know, what's going on? Well, Camila tells her what's going on. And Sister Lena basically put some wheels in motion to try to get some things handled because she didn't want us to just be down there without any type of lodging, any type of movement. So she put wheels in motion. My church came through. Praise God for the St. Jude Church. They got us lodging for the night, what we thought was going to be one night, Saturday night. Okay, so in the process, Jube, as we call him, Patrick Jube, but Jube say, hey man, call Texas Roadside so they can pull that thing off the street. We call Texas Roadside to no avail. So we trying to figure out what to do. Eventually, we got a tow truck to come and move it to the DoubleTree, which was essentially 2 blocks up the street. To come and pick it up, to hook it up and tow it 2 blocks up the street cost us $150. Now, mind you, this was not a part of the budget. So we're still trying to figure all this stuff out. I call Pastor Scobie, Derek Scobie, another one of my brothers here in Oklahoma City. I call him and I just don't know what to say to him. And I say, that was the next day, I believe. It was all a blur. I say, man, do you know somebody in Dallas that knows a mobile mechanic? Because I just needed to find out what was wrong with the truck. And so he goes about trying to, he calls Pastor Michael Pryor, and at the time he was wrapped up, and so he calls back. Then we get connected to a mechanic that's connected to him, another pastor there in Dallas. I believe Pastor LaTarsha. He comes and looks at it. He had been wrapped up and everything. He comes and looks at it and says, man, you got a thrown rod. He shows me where the oil pan had basically been busted through by the rod flying through or something else flying up into the engine. And so basically you're hearing me say that the engine is shot. Now we in Dallas. I live in Oklahoma City. I got my daughter's contents on the way to Houston. What are we going to do? So Pastor Scobie, through the course of the process, ends up saying to Pastor Pryor, man, you send your mechanic out, we'll work something out, man. Just whatever needs to be done, we'll work something out. Now, of course, at the time, he didn't know it was no blown engine. I didn't either. So anyways, the church finds out we're still down there on Sunday night. Now, mind you, we already wasn't going to come back on Sunday morning. Reverend Chris Brown, my young brother, was preaching for me that morning, so all was good. Well, we still was trying to figure out where we was going to lodge again. So Sister Lena Robinson, Sister Little Carter, was like, hey, pastor's still down there. Family, we got to take care of them. So all of this is going on, and man, I'm just like so frustrated because this brother done told me all this stuff about my vehicle. So what ends up happening is I say, well, man, I'm going to have to call my car lot. I told Reverend Tarsha, so I'm going to have to call my car lot on Monday and say, because it's under warranty and I don't know no other way, no other recourse. They're going to have to take care of it. So he said, all right, man. He said, well, stay contacted with me. Let me know what's going on. Okay, cool. So Monday morning comes, a whole bunch of stuff is going on. I contact the car lot. Car lot say, call Pep Boys, because we have a functioning account with Pep Boys. And basically, it's a good thing because, you know, Pep Boys is all over the country, and so they can, you know, take care of the business. So I end up having to have it hauled into Pep Boys. Well, in the process, Pastor Scobie, and this is what I'm talking about unexpected miracles. Pastor Scobie, unbeknownst to me, has a deacon who was a deacon at his church when he was in McKinney, Texas, as deacon. It was deacon at his church. I discovered was a great brother. Great brother. He didn't know me from Adam, but because of the relationship that he had with Pastor Scobie, and he ended up telling me this. He said, because of the relationship that he had with Pastor Scobie, he said, I know if you good with Pastor Scobie, you're good with me. He said, any friend of Pastor Scobie is a friend of mine. So he ended up paying because we ended up having to stay another night. Now, mind you, thank God I had time off on my job so I could just put it in. But he ended up paying for another night because he said, Pastor shouldn't have to worry about where he gonna sleep. He shouldn't have to worry about none of that with his family. He said, I'm gonna take care of that, Pastor. Now this man don't know me. He don't know me at all. He know Pastor Scobie. He don't know me. Okay, so I'm just like, wow. Okay, cool. Wow. So in the process, I told y'all that train was coming. For those that's coming on late, you don't know about this train. It's so disrespectful. Anyways, so what ends up happening is that he pays for the room. And he says, let's work a plan. Let's figure out what we're going to do to get you home. I said, oh man, I'm just trying to figure it out. My engine is blown. The situation that was going on in Oklahoma City was the same situation that was going on down in Dallas. I didn't have a credit card. I had a debit card, but didn't have a credit card. So I didn't have a return flight itinerary, couldn't rent the car myself. So I'm just like, man, this just ain't working out. So he says, have you thought about CAPS? He says, CAPS might be able to help you out. Well, having taken numerous church trips down through the years, I know that CAPS does an authorization where you don't have to be there with the card. You just have to be able to authorize that somebody's able to get the rental. So I calls CAPS. CAPS says, well, it's $183 to rent the van. And then it's going to be $250 for a drop fee. I was like, man, that's cold-blooded. So they said essentially $440 because we was operating on taxes and all that stuff like that. So it wasn't tax and all that stuff associated. So $440. Well, me and Pastor Scobie, we contacting each other. We trying to figure out what's going on. In the midst of all that, he's contacted by somebody that sees the work that he's doing. Let your light so shine that men, women may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. They see what he's doing. This particular lady sees what he's doing and wants to give a donation and says, you can do with it however you see fit. Now, in the midst of all this, he didn't know that she was going to contact him. He had no idea that I was going to be down in Dallas stranded. But that ain't even the best part of the story. So, in the process, he makes this connection between this lady and one that he had did chaplaincy for back in February. Lady's name was Barbara, sweet lady. She was married for 66 and a half years to a man whose name was Bill, and he was also a pastor. She had a check that came in, a royalty check. She says, I want to give my royalty check to you. Then through the course of the process, he ends up calling her and contacting her. Well, what ended up happening, her late husband, because he had passed away, Pastor Scobie, preached her husband's funeral. At the funeral, he and Sister Angela were the only Black people. These are white people, Caucasians. They were the only Black people out of 100 or so people. This is before COVID. He preaches the funeral. People are moved, all stuff like that. Their relationship is is basically solidified right there. But he hadn't really contacted her, as was the case with Deacon Smith. He hadn't really talked to Deacon Smith in a while, and he texted him, and he included me on text saying, I don't know why I'm texting you. Well, anyways, he contacts the lady, they get into contact or whatever. And so he calls me, he tells me and Camila to call together on the phone. We call, and the lady says, once we get on the phone with him and Sister Barbara, she tells the story about her husband. She tells us the story about how her husband had Alzheimer's. And towards the end of his life, he had periods where he slipped from being lucid to not knowing pretty much anything. But one thing she said that he kept saying, he kept like getting up when he could from his bed or his chair or whatever, and he would say something to this effect. She said they had 5 children they adopted. They grown and gone. She said, but he would make this statement. He says, we got to go get our children from Texas. They're stuck and they need us. We got to go get our children from Texas. They're stuck and they need us. She said, Bill, we don't have no children in Texas. He said, yes, we do. Yes, we do. We got to go get them. We got to go get them because they're down there and they need us. I got to compose myself because I felt something when she said it then. I feel something now. She said, he said, they're down there and they need us. And they can't get home. They need us. So she ends up saying after he passed, she's going through his effects. And between her royalty check and the money that he had left in the bank was $440. To get the rental from Caps, we needed $440. But that ain't even it. So all of this is going on. I'm just blown away. And at the time, she didn't even know my name was Bill. She knew because Pastor Scobie had said that I was a preacher, pastor. But she didn't know my name was Bill. And so that threw her for another loop. That threw her for a loop. That threw me for a loop. All of it tied together. So in the course of the process, Deacon Smith has already paid for this room. So we have lodging for the night. Pastor Scobie is still wondering, what are we going to do about this U-Haul? Because you have a U-Haul full of your daughter's contents, and it's supposed to be going to Houston. You're supposed to be going the other direction. What are we going to do? So Deacon Smith say, Pastor, what are we going to do? Whatever you need me to do, we're going to do whatever you need me to do. And I was so apprehensive, but I ended up saying, well, I found a rental at Love Field, the airport in Dallas. I said, I found a rental. I said, but the thing is, I need a credit card. I said, and if you are on as the one holding the credit card, you have to be the primary driver and put me on as a secondary driver. Deacon Oscar Smith does not know me at all. I got people that's been knowing me 42 years. I'm 42, so that's what I'm talking about. 42 years. Some folk that have it would never take opportunity to say, hey man, whatever you need, let me do what I can. Oscar Smith does not know me at all. He just knows Pastor Scobie, and he knows that Pastor Scobie and I are attached. He says, whatever you need me to do. I said, D, this is what I need you to do. I said, I know you don't want to get out because COVID-19, Texas is hot. I said, I know you don't want to get out. I said, but I found the rental at Alamo at Love Field. I said, and if you could do this for me, I said, I won't bother you no more. He said, oh, it ain't no bother. Don't worry about it. I said, I need you to come and pick me up. He's in McKinney. McKinney is not right there by Dallas. Suburb, but some miles out suburb. he says, well, okay. He says, well, traffic is thick. He said, I'll be to you about 7. I said, fine. He said, that'd be good. He said, what time they close? I said, about midnight, somewhere there. So, okay. He comes and gets me. We go to the airport. Now, I have this money that has been sent to Pastor Scobie, or is being sent to Pastor Scobie. He sends it to me so that I can do what I need to do with Deacon Smith. We go to the airport. We forego cabs. We're able to go to the airport, and we're able to rent the vehicle from the airport, because even though I would have had the authorization through cabs, it still would have been a whole bunch of stuff with the fuel and all that. So we get to the airport. The lady goes through her spiel. We end up getting the vehicle, full-size SUV. So I thought. Okay. So on Tuesday, for those that remember, I posted myself sitting in a Lincoln Navigator, a 2020 Lincoln Navigator. Now, if you know me, when that body style changed back in 18, I said, man, that's my dream ride. I said, oh man, I sure wish I could get one of those. Before we left Oklahoma City, we were actually on Memorial Road, right there across from, I believe it's Diffie, Lincoln. And as you're coming out of the U-Haul, because we came out with the U-Haul, you see Lincoln sitting on the lot. Camila say, you ain't gonna say nothing about your beauty? Because I always say, oh, my beauty, my beauty. I said, I don't got time because I got to get to Houston. So we get to the airport, we get to the rental place. I'm thinking I'm gonna go outside and get a Tahoe or something like that, Expedition, because that's what it said I was getting. The lady say, here you are right here. A black on black 2020 Lincoln Navigator. Now, I don't know if I ever get the opportunity to drive one of them again. I don't know. But I did that day, and I did the next day. Because of unexpected blessings, unexpected miracles. Not only was I able to get back to Oklahoma City, but I was able to hitch up the U-Haul to the Lincoln, take it down to Houston, get my daughter's stuff dropped off. Originally, they was gonna say that was a $250 drop fee to drop the U-Haul in Houston, because we didn't want to take it back to Oklahoma City. They decided we'll forego that $250. Caps, if I would have dropped the van off in Oklahoma City, would have had a $250 drop fee that I would have had to pay. The U-Haul had a $250 drop fee that they said, we ain't gonna worry about it. Just drop it down in Houston. So all of this happens. We come on back home. Well, first we went back to the hotel to get a night's rest at the room that Deacon Smith paid for, even though I don't know Deacon Smith. I come back to Oklahoma City in a Lincoln Navigator, fully loaded. You rent a premium SUV, first of all, you know it costs a lot of money. This ain't just premium. This was the top of the line Lincoln Navigator. You know, like platinum, this with all the bells and whistles. We push all the way back to Oklahoma City. We sitting, we riding clean, we riding cool, because the Enclave's air did not work. The air conditioning in this thing, oh man. The Eskimos would have had to put on 5 layers to be comfortable, because this thing was frosty. You hear what I'm saying? Come back, and we're able to get everything done from unexpected people. I don't know Sister Barbara. I've only heard her voice. And let me tell you something. She was married 66 and a half years. Just think of what her age must be. If she got married at 13, that's a stretch. But if she got married at 13, that will mean that she will be 79 and a half years old. So whatever age she is, 80 plus, this is a lady that wanted to be a blessing to somebody that had been a blessing to her life. He turns around, he don't think about himself. He thinks about somebody else that's in need. It's a whole bunch I could say about Derek Scobie. It's a lot I could say. But I'm just going to say my two brothers came through for me in different ways this weekend. Jupe settled me down because I was going ballistic. Derek Scobie was able to maneuver some things to allow for himself to be a conduit of blessings to help not just me, but my entire family. And I'm saying this because there's a lot of people that are in situations during COVID-19 that do not believe in God the way that you once did. You feel if God was this or that wouldn't have happened. Well, in my mind, I'm paying a lot of money for a vehicle that should be able to go down the street. They can't get the air conditioner right, all kinds of stuff. I could have got mad at God. Now, while I was discombobulated, I was never mad at the Lord. I just was trying to figure out how we was going to get out of this situation. And it seemed like everything I was trying to pull would not work. But when the Lord settled me down through Pastor Patrick Jubert, when he settled me down, he allowed for me to contact the person that would be able to carry the ball further. Everybody has a part to play. Every situation that we find ourselves in, every time we need a miracle, everybody has a part to play. You know what? You may not think it. You may look at it and say, oh man, they really didn't do nothing. But you know what? Whoever decided to stop by the side of the road when you were out of gas, and they say, well, I ain't got no gas can, but let me call somebody else that might have one. They called somebody. They didn't have a gas can, but they were able to call. They might have called because your phone didn't have no bars. They might have called because your phone wasn't charged. They might have called because you just didn't have a phone. Everybody plays their part. And I've seen over the last month or so, and Oklahoma City has seen, unless your eyes are closed, we've seen Derek Scobie being used as a conduit to bless people with food. He's not the only one. He's not the only one. But I thank God that he is part of the ones that are doing it. Because it's a lot of people say, man, I ain't got time for that. This COVID-19. This COVID, people are getting sick. People are falling deathly ill. Some are even dying. I ain't got time for none of that. Man, I'm just going to hole up in my house or wherever I got to go. But listen, that is another thing of the beauty of Oscar Smith. He's a man in his 60s. And, you know, they talk about those that are higher risk. And he threw caution to the wind to try to get me and my family home. Unexpected blessings and miracles. God still works miracles. He still opens doors. He still settles hearts and minds. A lot of people around you just preaching. You saying that because you're a preacher. No, I'm saying that because I know it to be true. If I stop preaching tomorrow, which I won't stop doing that, may stop pastoring, I don't think I will, because God ain't told me to do it. But if I stop doing that part of the ministry, my ministry life is still going to continue on. But what I do know is that God not only blessed us that weekend, but he blessed other people, because it is a blessing to be a blessing. Don't it feel good when you can help somebody out that needed help? And listen, Pastor Scobie helping me is one thing. We brothers, we friends. We fellowship and deal with each other all the time. This lady, Sister Barbara, she don't know me. I'm just a little black boy. But her husband, before he passed away, said, our children are in Texas and they can't get home. They need us. They ain't have no kids in Texas. We were stranded in Texas. We're their kids. because we're connected in the spirit. Oscar Smith, I keep saying, there are guys who say deacons ain't worth nothing. And I say all the time, stop making generalizations, because there are good people that are willing to go the extra mile. You might not have encountered them, but they're out there. And let me just say, I got good deacons here at St. Jude. I got some good ones. And Oscar Smith, he would fall right in line with those because he's that kind of guy. But as I sign off, I want y'all to know that you should not give up on God. I didn't expect to be going on Facebook Live. I am really not a Facebook Live person. You know, I do live because I preach and that's what the church does and stuff. But as far as me personally, I'm not really a Facebook Live person. But I want everybody to know that God has ways, God has means, God has resources beyond our wildest dreams or imaginations. And if we put our hope and trust in Him, not only will He direct our paths, but those things that we have prayed for, those things that we have committed ourselves to in His Son, He will bring it to pass. I didn't expect to be driving no Navigator, and it was a rental, but it was mine for 24 hours, and I enjoyed every bit of it. So, God bless all y'all, everybody that listened, everybody that watched. I'm telling you, God is good. That's all I got to say. God is good. Share, not just necessarily this live, but share love with one another. Be a blessing to one another, because you never know when your time will come that you need a blessing from the Lord through somebody else. So I'm signing off. I love everybody. I hope everybody loves me, but I know most importantly, God does. God bless you.